everyone. My name is Juliana Brown. I'm a senior majoring in elementary education, and for the short grant over the summer, I worked with Professor Wyman to edit and review the manuscript for the book Sustainability, Education, and Action for Learning and Community Engagement, which focuses on sustainability, education specifically for high school and college-aged people and it will be published later this year. While going through the book, I put together ideas for K through 6 activities to get students thinking about sustainability and generally how it can be brought into the classroom for elementary. To start off, let's ask the necessary question. What are we hoping to sustain? In the future, what are we going to bring with us? What are we leaving the past? This question was raised by one of the authors, Eric Hewing. In order to build a sustainable world, we have to let go of unsustainable practices. Defining what is important to us to bring into the future of our world gives us tangible goals of what we want for our future. So, if you guys would like to share, what do you believe you're hoping to sustain?
Above all else, the planet.
The planet, yes.
There is no planet B.
No. Environmental sustainability is one of the key foundations of this book, along with equitable sustainability, mindful sustainability. Anyone else would like to share what they would like to see in a sustainable future?
Access to food and clean water for everyone.
Equitable education, or equitable access to education, clean water, justice. Thank you for sharing. Firstly, let's define sustainability. I'm sure you guys have all heard of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. However, if you have not looked into them, here's a brief synopsis. The SDGs were created in 2015 by 193 collaborating countries comprising of 17 goals to lead us to a sustainable future by 2030. The UN isn't just talking about environmental sustainability, though. They're pointing towards holistic sustainability as the ultimate goal. This means equity, this means peace, and a sustainable future for everyone. This means no more poverty, no more hunger, and a pledge to reduce inequality everywhere, in addition to mitigating climate change. And unsurprisingly, the solutions for these problems are interwoven. To end hunger, we need to allocate our food resources more effectively, which will help mitigate food waste. To grow clean energy, we need to invest in solar, wind, geothermal, all of which are less expensive than coal and can be installed in countries everywhere, expanding the amount of people who can afford to have power in their houses. The UN's model for sustainability is mostly widely known, but there are copious other examples of ways we can look at sustainability. Let's look at this model. It's one that's a lot easier to explain to K through 6 students. Robin Wall Kimmerer defined this model succinctly, though she is not the creator. The dish with one spoon model, created by the nations of Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee as a peace treaty in 1142 CE, is a way of seeing the world as one giant bowl that we are all taking from. Whatever we take as a species from the bowl, or Earth, we must give back. We cannot take infinitely, or else our resources become scarce. This model is most useful for younger students because they might not yet understand the intersectionality of the SDG goals and the connections between peacemaking and planetary thriving. As the United Nations Frontline Commission put it in 1987, sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It's pretty simple, but sustainability and its definition changed. According to the Sustainability Education book, this definition needs some reevaluation. The wording itself is from more of an individualistic mindset. Whose needs are we meeting? Is it everyone's, or just those from the upper and middle class? Are we approaching these challenges from a Eurocentric mindset? Are we talking in terms of sacrifice or collaboration to meet these needs? So with this in mind, I created another definition. Nope, that's not it. There it is. From my perspective, after reading through the different chapters of this textbook, sustainability is a collaborative process to improve access to resources worldwide, redefine needs, and decrease overconsumption for the betterment of today and tomorrow. Sustainability is about collaboration, changing lifestyles, and worldwide choices. Sustainability is not sustainable if only studied in Sustainability is not sustainable if we make choices for the betterment of only ourselves. Sustainability relies on the choices to benefit everyone, not just our own unique situations. You might be asking, what do educators and students have to do with reaching sustainability goals? And my answer to you is a lot. This is one of the quotes from the book. We're to bring back nature from the brink. Teachers across the world will be at the heart of our collective effort, and that is from students spend 7 hours a day in school. In that time, educators can do a lot. They can ask students what they think should be sustained and have insightful conversations. They can depoliticize sustainability. They can make changes in their own classrooms to lessen the school's carbon footprint and can teach students sustainable practices that they then take home to their parents. As Andrea Varga explained in her chapter, she changed parts of her curriculum in an art class to put sustainability at the forefront of projects that would not normally be used to teach sustainable practices, such as costume design. Educators have the power to change the perspective of students and to have the students see themselves as change agents who can find solutions. Transformative educational practices are talked about by Mesereau, who has the ability to have the ability to shift students' perspectives by their own conclusions. As teachers, we are not teaching students what to think, but providing them the tools to examine the topic of sustainability critically. In addition, such constructivist learning approaches allow for students to develop new knowledge based on prior knowledge, with teachers acting as a guide rather than explicitly telling students what to think. In this book on sustainability education, the author's approach to sustainability and insists upon 3 concepts. Everyone is creative. We need to teach change agency. And the way to learn is through experiential learning and developing relationships. We know that there's so much despair in people's minds when it comes to climate change. If we can change the next generation's perspective of climate change from an inevitability into a problem that they can solve as change agents, we instill an imperative to take action and lessen dread. In taking action, students use their creativity in different ways to bring awareness to climate change, make global solutions, and advocate or make bigger solutions themselves. By taking action, students are engaging in experiential, hands-on learning, which makes the experiences more memorable. Some great examples of this are by having students make zines, as in Andrea Varga's class, having students write poetry, as explained by Nosiko Faith Makake, or creating visual demonstrations to explain different climate change concepts, as talked about by Ed Lawson and Sarah Wyman. So the questions are, what can we sustain in the classroom, and how can we sustain in the classroom? The 3 overarching ideas in this book are environmental, equitable, and mindful sustainability. In the environmental sense, as inspired by the following authors, students can create sustainable compostable art, learn about healing curve and track global warming, and use local forage materials for different projects. That could be reusing materials, that could be looking through your trash can and finding some wrappers to make something cool, or finding materials that were sourced from nature or made locally. We can talk about an equitable future with students, starting meaningful discussions about disability studies or food injustice. Equity also comes down to how we teach in a culturally responsive manner. As explained by Dandridge, employing an Afrocentric worldview in different lessons can help widen perspectives and understandings of students about perspectives other than the Eurocentric. Finally, sustaining mindfulness in the classroom is hugely important and can be accomplished with nature journaling, reflective talks, or making poetry. And here is where the work that I did comes in. Here I've compiled all the different ideas for K-6 activities or additions to the classroom to prioritize these 3 different types of sustainability in your own classroom. And so I've put it environmental, equitable, and mindful. Now, all of these don't necessarily have to do with environmental sustainability. Some of these are in morning journal, where it's more introspective and more reflective. Some of these are having students design accessible things to put in their own schools. And then obviously there is the environmental aspect, but sustainability is really a holistic type of thing. And here, if you would like, I have a QR code with written instructions and suggestions for you to save to bring into your classroom if you want to be an educator, or if you are an educator. Sustainability is a lifelong practice and is a concept that any student can understand at any age. We do not have to wait until students are older to start teaching love, compassion, and care. And teachers know how to do all of that. So let's get to it. Thank you.
A minute or so for questions if there are any.
Since we have a little bit of time, would you tell us about your favorite lesson plan that you created